Hey all friends, welcome to the channel. Bob here. Apparently my stream is excellent according to YouTube, so there you go. So I'm playing a new dude. Oh, what happened to Dave? Dave went down. I'm playing a new dude today. I like playing the war. This is Hobbs. He's my little gnome warrior. Playing the ogre warrior, like playing the warrior was the most fun that I've had for ages. Um, it's difficult to know why. I think it's just because of its simplicity. I like the idea of just standing there and getting hit and just hitting things, and that's essentially it. Like it's a nice change of pace from just from the usual constantly casting spells or cooldowns or whatever it may be, all that kind of stuff. And I played quite a lot over Christmas and the New. Well, after Christmas, I played a fair bit. I've been playing quite a lot recently, and I got my ogre to 51, and I was still like really enjoying it. But I wasn't really the ogre thing was kind of getting on my nerves a bit. Like the big, just the big, race. All that kind of stuff. I've played so many ogres before and whatnot. I was kind of just wanted a change. And my second choice, which now turns out to be by far my first choice, was a gnome. Because I like how they look in play. As a warrior, I like the idea of just like an old guy, just whacking things, essentially, and just being able to stand there and take loads of damage. I mean, in reality, it's a game, so that's probably not really the reality of the game as such. Maybe when you get evasive and whatever. But yeah, irrespective of that, like I like how the model looks. I like it. I want it to be a small model. It was just like a choice between this and I think probably a hobbit. But yeah, maybe I do a hobbit for a cleric. Because I want to do a cleric at some point as well. Yeah, so it turned out to be a gnome. And this character is the character that I just like the feel of more than any character I've played since I started. My whatever my favourite shaman was essentially. Just awesome. I just love the way it looks. I kind of dig the vibe of being a little warrior going around beating things. Yeah, it just really clicked for whatever reason. I've got no idea. And I don't even feel like going and doing anything else, or you know, starting another shaman or whatever it is. So yeah, but yeah, and so I got my ogre warrior to 51, but I kind of didn't really have bloody roots. Really annoying. I didn't really have anywhere to go from an equipment point of view unless I started investing, like like maybe buying some gems and getting some Velius armor and stuff. And I just didn't want to invest that into the ogre essentially. So here we are. Yeah, I'm level 21 at the moment. I've kind of been doing a little. I started off. I came to Unrest about level 15, and I've been here since then. Yesterday I was doing for about an hour. I did a little circuit around the outside of the ground floor, so I can kind of deal with all those mobs, no problem. And it's it's really cool. I think down here mobs are still red and yellow down in the basement. That weird bat still red. So yeah, I think we go around here. There's one over here, and there's one round the corner there as well. Yeah, it's funny with the warrior. Like it kind of feels simple on paper, and it kind of is. But there are so many things that you can do. Like I want to give a shout out to who do I want to give a shout out to? I'm going to check actually because I feel that it's only the right thing to do. I want to give a shout out to Britain, who made me some maybe some of the clockwork armor. Or I thought I just closed down the wrong program there. No, I don't. who made me some of the clockwork armor, actually, which I haven't even used yet. I like the look of it. It looks really cool. This is the helmet, and it's like, I think it's like the Velius skin. That's really cool. I'd like to do my own tinkering as well at some point. Level up my own tinkering. It looks like it gets. I've had a look on the wiki. It looks like it gets to a point where you know, you get, it's quite expensive to raise. But there you go. Let's see how it is. So yeah. So let's use. I think it's the van braces. Oh no, I don't do that. Yeah, I think the van braces are haste. Essentially, these have got charges on, but it's kind of pretty much like infinite self buffs, like haste and strength and spirit of wolf and stuff. You need to you can recharge them with a little mana battery type thing, and that does cost money, you know. But if you use it sparingly, you know, then yeah, then there's no reason why you just can't. Why it wouldn't be instant until you run out of plat, I guess. So that would be the thing. I think there's a mob around here. I don't know how many we'll get here, but I mean, let's cast haste first. Cog boost. Okay, it hasn't got a timer on it actually, which is interesting. We might get like 3 or 4 here, which might be a bit of a nightmare. Oh no, we got 2. That's all right. It's funny how you can play a class that you kind of really had no thought of playing before, and it just kind of, something just kind of clicks about it. It's quite odd. I do quite like. I mean, I do really like the fact that it's just a class where you, like, as I'm playing it, there's a lot to think about. I'm looking at a lot of things, but like, I'm not having to kind of keep casting spells and put myself into instances where I'm waiting 2 or 3 seconds to cast a spell all the time or whatever. You know, it's I just kind of wanted a break from that, and I think this whoops, I think this does a good job. As for long term, I don't know really. Like, you know, I mean, as I said before, I'd always like to guild and do some raiding, but you know, I, like for a warrior particularly, for like a casual warrior, like, I don't really know. I don't really know if that's any kind of any reality there. I think there's a mob just hiding around here. Little ghoulie. But my short-term goal is to get to 52 and get evasive, then play around with that, see how it goes. I'm going to try and stay in dungeons as much as I can, leveling this guy as well. It's probably, you know, pretty tricky, but when you, I mean, I'm relatively well twinked, so you know. It's amazing, like when you get like a damage table upgrade, you know, like getting to 20 and using the staff of battle, yeah, it just made a massive difference. I've got a little crit there as well. So things I found when I was leveling the warrior is that there are certain things that I think. You know, when you're on the forums, you're talking on and you're reading stuff on the forums. I think a lot of them seem to not assume. I think there's a kind of like a bubble, isn't there, where the server's been going for so long, you know, and so there are a lot of people that have got a number of characters to 60, you know, with all probably like best in slots and stuff. And I guess it's hard to relate this far into the server. It's like 4 mobs there. I don't think that's a good idea. It's probably hard to relate this far into the server. There's a red mob that wanders up and down the stairs there. And if you aggro a mob here, then if it's a carrion ghoul, so it's probably, sometimes it's yellow, so I'd probably win, but you know. I think we'll go in here. I think we can go in here. Hello. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, I think you kind of get. I think those guys kind of look at it from that point of view. So when I look at warrior posts, you know, it's like, you know, they're all probably like 60 best in slot and stuff, and they talk about like talking about like critical hits and stuff, and like when you go into berserk and whatnot. I mean, first of all, like even at level 51, like I was fighting like level 51 again, like with a fungi and stuff, so it's fairly decent equipment. At level 50, I should say. I was fighting spectres, which were way below my level, but I still couldn't rely on being below 40% health. And like winning by doing tons of damage, because I guess it's based on dex, but like the critical hits and stuff just didn't go off enough to make it worth it. So I'm assuming for people it does, you know, they've probably got, like, as I said, best in slot, loads of dex and that kind of thing. I also think like hit points is quite a key thing there as well. So the more hit points you've got, the more hit points you've got when you're below 40. So I think you've probably got a bit more control over that. And looking at on some of the forums as well, I think what I would try and stack in, I mean, if I can't get dex, what I would try and do in the future is like hit points and AC would probably be like a priority. I'm not sure if that's the right choice or not, but you know, I'm sure someone will tell me if it won't. I did use a Truncheon of Doom that was really good though. That procced kind of like most fights, so I'm looking forward to using that again. Yeah, and that's it really. Like playing a warrior. Loved playing my ogre warrior, but got a bit fed up with ogres, and so I'm playing this dude. And as I said, like this as a character, this is the most kind of into it I've been for a long time. Right, so that was our rotation. So we've got to wait for these dudes to spawn, I guess. I could probably pull from here. In fact, I could pull from there. There seems to be a big level swing in mobs here. So if you go up or down a level, everything is like, you know, like everything is like red or yellow, or it was anyway. So so you got blue stuff on the ground, but like you got just all this yellow stuff. Yellow and red stuff a floor up, which I think is pretty good. I mean, I think that's generally probably good design, you know, because you've got like catering of different levels of groups essentially. So I guess at this point where stuff's blue on this floor, you know, like a group would probably be going and dealing with reds and yellows and stuff. Is there a third ghoulie? Oh, he's over in the corner. I love the atmosphere of this zone as well. I love all the undead stuff. Yeah, anything I think I'm alright. Anything else? Ooh. No, that's okay. Anything I was worried about is that he would aggro, and he would aggro the carrion ghoul, which might make things a bit hairier. Also, I should say a little thank you to I can't remember her name. Well, that's probably a guy. But, there was like a very lovely wood elf druid has turned up a few times to buff me and stuff. And I think it's just something they do randomly, you know. Like I can't imagine that they're friends of the channel. Maybe they are, but they wouldn't have known, you know. Which is cool. Because like I don't know if any of you are playing P99 much, but the population is kind of very low, probably the lowest it's ever been, maybe. Oh, it's a dwarf. I thought it was a gnome. Yeah, probably the lowest it's ever been. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Probably, I think that people, like I've spoken to a lot of you who have said that you just love EverQuest, but you kind of just feel you're done with it. You know, you kind of moved on. I think that there's been a lot more. There have been a lot more sort of casual friendly servers released. I think, which probably which is obviously going to have a big impact. You know, like as much as we love classic EverQuest, it is a time investment. You know, and depending on your situation, you know, like how much of the game you're actually going to see. Really, I'm playing P99 and I'm loving it. This character, but you know, occasionally I think to myself, well, why am I just not playing TAC P? You know, where I get essentially the same experience, but because you can like free box, you just got more options. I can see more and do more of the game, you know. But yeah, I think P99 had that quite pure kind of vibe. As yeah, it just always kind of always draws me back. Yeah, it's a tricky one though, because what I've noticed playing the game, running around. What I've noticed I'm on blue, by the way, so that probably doesn't help. But what I noticed on blue is that a lot of the characters I see are level 60, like running between raids and stuff, or running to a zone, like a group of them. So I kind of get the impression that that's kind of what the server is now. You know, it's just a group of guys, and if you see someone leveling, they're probably leveling an alt for some reason or whatever. You know, so that's how it feels to me. So I guess it becomes kind of a bit insular, because what I've noticed is that apart from like the friendly druid, like there are almost no drive-by buffs. Like I was stuck. I had a nightmare scenario with a death with a warrior, and I died, and I was bound on a different continent. Not only was I bound on a different continent, I was bound in Velius, and I died in Fearot. I was like, oh my god. And I was stuck outside, like naked ogre. Obviously, it was a corpse recovery, and I know the level 60s were probably rushing to somewhere to do stuff, but this wasn't like an isolated incident. But there were loads of like level 60s running past you, and there was not even the whiff of like a drive-by Spirit of Wolf or something. You know, it's almost like that kind of side of the community is gone, and it's just very much about waiting for raids, like leveling alts and running to the next raid, you know. And but I guess that, and that's not a criticism, by the way. I think it's just like a natural thing, because you get because the people that fall away and are not playing a game are probably the ones that are just a bit more casual, I guess. You know, they're not that invested. So obviously the people left are going to be the ones that are most invested. Yeah, so I don't think that's unusual, and it's not a criticism. It's just an observation. I should probably maybe try hitting up some different things. Basement's still red. I'm still getting reasonably good experience here though with on this ground floor. It's funny how you do get a rotation, but then you're kind of waiting on mobs to spawn. It kind of that kind of 20 whatever minutes it is, you know. Oh shit! What, have I made a mistake here? No. You know what? I didn't even. I was here all day yesterday, and I would go round to the other side and come back round to that bit where I was now, and I never even looked in this room. Although this is turning out pretty grim, because this guy's, even though he's blue, he's a name. He's hit me for a lot. I think we're going to run this off in case I get rooted or something, because that could happen. I guess that's kind of why I didn't go there. I could sense it. It wasn't a good idea. I probably maybe could have killed him. I don't know. It would have been a close thing. I think when you're kind of twinked, you know, and you're used to the sway of it, and then like a mob kind of takes you down 2 bubbles before you even, you know, before you even catch a breath, then yeah, maybe that's you got to run that one, I think. It's interesting coming back to Everquest kind of after Christmas as well. It's I was kind of going to do like a normal video on it, but I didn't get around to doing it in the end. But I watched a video by a guy who was playing. He played an old MMO, and the person who created that old MMO had created a new MMO, and he did a video after playing it for a year, and and I played it also, and he was just saying how much of a mess it was, and it was a mess. And he kind of made a comment which I think you can apply essentially to all indie games. It took a long while to get back. I guess I could have gone like burn down the ghoul and then zone, and then it might leave him on his own. But my other stuff was spawning anyway, so I don't need to worry about it. And he made a comment that essentially hit the nail on the head for all indie development, including indie MMOs. And he said that the issue with this game that he was playing was that it's kind of like it's like an art vanity project for the developer, and so he kind of doesn't really care what you think about the game. He's going to do what he thinks is the best thing to do for the game, or just random ideas that they like, and that's what the MMO is going to be. And I think that hit the nail on the head. And I know I guess that's just an indie thing, right? I know some people will be saying, well, that's the best way to develop a game, but it's kind of really not, because the best games were not developed that way. You know, the best games had a publisher, and they had people around asking questions. You know, is this the right thing to do? Is this the right decision? Is this the right mechanic to implement, or whatever it may be? Whether it was a publisher or whether it was like a bigger team and the higher ups were kind of asking these questions. And I know that a lot of people, particularly nowadays in AAA, have an issue with, with publishers and stuff, and in some cases, rightly so. But like Everquest wasn't really designed that way. Like Everquest was designed around some guys who played some games, and they wanted to replicate those games in an MMO. But they also had a publisher, and they also understood that we're publishers, we're spending money on this game, we're paying you guys. You guys obviously want the game to be good and do well and whatever it may be. So it needs to be a product that appeals to gamers, basically. And I think we're in a situation where, in India as well, for different reasons, people say that, like AAA games essentially being used as a marketing tool for propaganda, essentially. Whatever word you want to use, DEI, woke, or whatever it is, that's essentially what's happened. The gaming industry AAA gaming industry has become infested with that, and it's the people creating the games. I would say kind of outside of the art side of things. I'd say the people creating the games are not really interested. They weren't gamers, not interested in gaming, no matter how much they try to tell you that they are. And if they were, then obviously they've had to toe the line and hire people based on certain things who maybe weren't the right people. I think that's where AAA gaming is gone. So games are not being made. The game's not being made for gamers. And I actually think you could make that argument for indie games as well. And it was a point that this guy was making. It's like essentially it's like a vanity project for the developer, and they're just putting in a little bit of a little bit of dingage there. It never hurts. It's always nice to hear that sound. Yeah, and he was saying that's how he saw this game, and how he's seen some other games as well, where it's like someone who, like an indie developer, just some guy or whoever they may be, has kind of worked themselves into a privileged enough position, which is fine, where they can just sit at home and make the game that they want, that they think is the best game, and there's no one telling them that maybe it's not the best game. Like maybe we need to change this and remove this, do whatever. It's just this person's project, and they don't care what people think about it. Essentially, we've heard it before. You got the N word, the niche word that is thrown around far too often. Or I've actually seen developers outright say to people, like, if maybe the game's not for you. But I think these are all just coping mechanisms and excuses, really, for people who are just really offended that someone doesn't like what they think is a good idea, or a good design choice, or whatever it may be. And so they use these things to kind of cushion the blow of the fact that maybe it isn't, but they can't kind of face that. I think it kind of comes around to that, exactly what this video was talking about, and it's and I know that there's someone out there will say or think that, oh, well, that's how all games are made, it's blah blah blah, and it's not how all games are made. The very, very best games ever made, had a publisher, whether you like it or not, and it would have people there questioning and making decisions. Hey Liz, how you doing? Making the decisions that would make the game successful, You know, I'm sorry, developer, it's not, you're creating the game, but you can't just go and create your passion project, because maybe gamers don't want that, and we want gamers to buy the game. But it kind of feels that we're in a position now where developers almost don't seem to be bothered whether gamers buy their games or not. It's just, this is what I'm doing, and you like it or lump it. And I don't think the best design, I don't think the best games come from that, you know, from that design perspective. It's just they've just become too bloated, too full of ideas, too many ideas that are maybe just not very good. And I see that definitely in all of the indie MMOs that I've played so far, with the exception of one or two that I haven't played that much. I've only played a little bit. You can just see it. You can just see it, but in the language of the developers, there's this kind of like faux attempt at making people feel like they're listening to them on Discord or whatever it may be. But like the underlying feeling is that, you know, this is our thing. This is what we're doing. And you can like it or lump it. And I just don't. Yeah, as I said, like in my experience anyway, and I've actually worked in video game development and publishing as well. I've not really seen this before. You know, where you're kind of almost not answerable to anyone, not even the people who you want to buy your product. You know, I mean, we've seen indie MMOs kind of aimed at a certain demographic of players, with systems and design that obviously that demographic of players is never going to accept. It's never going to catch on with. You know, we all kind of desperately wait for the next one, whatever it's going to be. But yeah, I kind of feel that unless there's, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that think I think it's great that this person's making a game that aren't answerable to anyone, and they're doing what they want. And maybe from like a you know, like a moral point of view, maybe you're right. But I just think from a creative point of view, I don't think it just makes the best games. It's just my opinion. I think it definitely works more when you have just like a single entity creating the game. You know, where you know, I kind of, when I think of the indie games that I've played that have been the best games, they're the games that just created by one person. There wasn't like a team of everyone trying to do the same, like everyone trying to make the game their passion project, if you know what I mean. I just think with a single person, you've got more idea of finding people who are more like-minded from a design point of view. But also, I just think that like the games that I played as well, the indie games that I played that were very, very good, you know, it wasn't a case of, if you don't like it, you know, like strategy gamers, then you can suck it up. You know, I've never really heard that. Indie MMO seems to be the only place where you get that. It's yeah. I've got one of those already, I think. One of those daggers. But anyway, it is what it is. But for me, this guy's video just absolutely just hammered it home. Like all the issues that I've found, all the issues that I've found with indie MMOs that I've played, and going on Discords and listening to developers and stuff, it's that kind of attitude. It's like it or lump it, and I just don't think that games are the best games are designed that way. Yeah, but whatever. Yeah, I think, I mean, I like in many instances, after saying all instances, I'm not even really sure like who the games are aimed at. I mean, it's all very easy to say that you're making a classically inspired MMO, but the problem with that label, I guess, is that you know, it's too broad, because inspired just could mean anything. You know, I'm putting gnomes in because they were in Everquest, and that's it. Like, you could probably get away with that if you really wanted to. So yeah, it's a weird thing. I don't get it. But then you kind of hear developers that try and shy away from that. So like I've seen development streams quite a few times for a particular game, and someone mentions Everquest, and I think the people in general, like, you get trolls obviously, but I think in general the people are making fairly observant points, and you can tell the developer just gets a bit fed up with it and just goes, oh well, look, we're not Everquest. But then you look at the game and you look at the spell lists, you look at the classes and the races, you even look at how some of the skills work and interact and are designed, and it's a copy of EverQuest. And so, what are people expected to think? You know, I don't. It's weird. Like, really, like if I go and play a game, and all the classes and races are similar to EverQuest, all the spell lists and the spell effects and the abilities are the same. Some classes have got exactly the same abilities as the same class in EverQuest. Then what are you supposed to expect? Like, what should you, and what should, and the developers are telling you that it's a classically based MMO. Then what are you supposed to expect? You know, I don't know. It's it's weird. Yeah, I mean, as you say, it kind of extends into everything. I mean, like for me recently, the Fallout TV series has just been hilarious watching the thing around that. I mean, I didn't. I looked at the comments on the season 2 trailers, and it was clearly bots because it was just you know on Facebook you get those adverts for something, and you look at the comments, and the comment says you'll get loads of comments, you get like hundreds of comments that just say, "I got mine yesterday and it was great. I got mine yesterday, it was great. Oh, I got mine yesterday, it was so good. I bought one for my husband as well." All that kind of stuff. It's the same sort of thing here. It's just like botting to make it seem like it's that everyone loves it, you know. And when you look, you can tell that the comments are bots because they're all member berries. It's like, oh, is that a Deathclaw? Oh, you know. And I know that Fallout series have got high ratings on, like whogivesashit.com or whatever, you know. But really, you know, the people watching the Fallout series are just normies that will suck up any old slop, essentially. The worst ones are the so-called fans of anything who try to defend the product for some reason. It's like, how can you be a fan of something and then there's an adaptation that completely changes all of the lore? I'm sorry, at that point you're not a fan. You know, it doesn't make any sense. It's not logical, and it's all emotion. There's no logic. And yeah, but they just can't see it. They can't see that changing something just because it's got the same skin, you know, it's like it must mean that it is that thing. It's very weird, but there you go. I think that's just I think the internet is kind of really like I remember like fanboyism when I was younger. You know, when the internet was not a thing particularly, and we would you know, people would argue about. I mean, I remember like when I was a kid, I got a Commodore 64, and my two closest friends had Spectrums, you know, and even as kids, we'd josh about now and again when a new game came out, who had the best version. 64 mostly, let's be honest. Like occasionally the Spectrum did. The Spectrum had a lot more fantastic kind of like original games of its own, I think, rather than like multi kind of format games. Yeah, so it's always been a thing, but I think the internet has obviously like turned that up to, like, it's turned everything up to the, you know, I love the internet, but there's some things that yeah, they're not very good. But yeah, I think in indie gaming, and I think like not just Fallout, but I think the show like Fallout really shows you. I think it really shows you that it's not really about Fallout. You know, it's about someone kind of writing, you know, writing a character that doesn't suit the thing at all. You're like, oh my god, like you know, oh my god, like you can't do that. That medieval shit on me because I'm not a virgin, you see, and yeah, and I had sex with my cousin, and you know, I mean, what the fuck sort of writing is that, honestly? So what am I waiting for? I forgot where I am in my rotation here. I think I'm waiting for these guys, or did I just kill? Okay, I just killed those two guys, did I? I don't know. I've lost my way already. think the thing that with these kind of things, I think I've said this before, and it's not like I'm not saying that we all haven't had instances like that, but I think you can also tell when like developers kind of shut up shop as well, like where they, they'll do. They're kind of all supportive of each other's game, irrespective of how many people are playing it or whatever or whatnot, and they'll kind of defend it, don't want people to criticise it and stuff. And I kind of feel that that's where like, there's an oversensitivity to someone. Yeah, I guess that's kind of more of a light example. I mean, I think probably Tom Cruise has earned a right to play wherever he likes to a certain extent, but yeah, I mean, that wasn't the best casting. it's, but it is weird. Like psychologically, it's so interesting. How an adaptation can be so different from the whole point. Like it completely misses the point because obviously in at the moment that all your liberals, they're all like, oh, capitalism, or I like the term late stage capitalism. That's a new one that I've heard. They don't understand that actually it's cronyism. It's not really capitalism. There's nothing wrong with capitalism essentially. But they're all like, and people are glad that Fallout is like anti-capitalist. That's nothing to do with the games. Like you play the game, well, you played the first two games anyway, and even the other games really. It's not even an idea really within the games particularly. It's essentially about human nature, and human nature always has to be conflict. That's just how it is. And I think that shows you. I think that kind of thing, where like they're picking out like a current social topic that's got nothing to do with the product at all and adding it in. I think that just shows that this stuff is all just done for. Yeah, it's all just done for. For propaganda essentially. Just to. I'm surprised we haven't seen like an orange man, blonde man yet, or something. Maybe season 2's got one. And obviously, it's got all the the modern audience stuff as well. Like all the leaders and stuff appear to be this strange mixture of, whatever. All the bad guys are obviously the white guys, and all the stupid guys are the white guys and whatnot. It's so obvious now, but yeah. I mean, some people say that kind of like even like normies were starting to recognise that this was just getting a bit of nonsense, and they'd stop buying. Like things are doing worse. But then Fallout comes along, and everyone likes it. There was a couple of funny comments under the Fallout Series 2 trailers though. Like there was a couple of things like, I got into the Fallout game series from playing Fallout 4. It's my favourite one, and I love the show. Yeah, well, there you go. That tells you an awful lot. Okay, so I obviously need to increase the space of my. Is that little shit up there? I don't think so. I need to increase the. Oops, what that? Don't want to get stunned. I need to increase the range of my my circuit, basically. Yeah, I guess they're trying to keep some kind of continuity, but I liked. I mean, like one of my favourite things to listen to is the make the BBC Great Again adaptation of Lord of the Rings, where I think John Hurt played Aragorn. I think Ralph Richardson played Gandalf, and obviously it was like very abridged, but yeah, that's great to listen to. Those actors like really fell apart. I guess it's probably the same for you, Liz, but it's been freezing cold here lately. I couldn't believe that on, what is it today? Thursday. I couldn't believe on Tuesday evening it didn't snow. It actually rained. There's some weird weather phenomena in the UK where it was below freezing, and they did say it was going to rain, but then but then it actually rained. It's weird. But it's been bloody cold. It's the wind, like we live, like at the top of our road, you've got the North Sea, essentially. Oh, and that wind. Whew. I do enjoy walking down there because you can see the... you can kind of see the North Sea shipping lane. So you go down there and the sun's just... It's still quite dark in the morning. You go down there and you can see all the lights on the ships and it's a bit misty. Make out you're in a game or something and that kind of thing. I think there's a named over there, but judging by the ghosty guy over in this room, I will not be attempting that. Yeah, pretty cold. I completely lost my rotation. I'm sure it's up there. Let's go around the corner here just to see. Oh, blimey, yeah. That is not what you want. I love the gnome being able to look through doors as well. It's brilliant. Look through walls, I should say. That is a big bonus. I might try, like in another level or so, I might try a different floor, but potentially I might move on to a different place actually to hit things. So this is where the what's this called? What is it, the brewer or the barkeep or something? I can't remember. But I think here I'm gonna, yeah, the brewer. I mean, I'm gonna get all four though, really, maybe three. There's a bookcase there, but I don't think you can go through it. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of like when you've got like a fungi and a bit of haste, you know, and even like a reasonably cheap, like good ratioed weapon. Yeah, I mean, it does make it, obviously makes it much easier. You still can't do impossible things, I'm finding. I found. You know, but you kill some blues. You can kill like probably a white or a yellow on their own. If not, then maybe you get spanked even with a fungi. It loses its effectiveness at higher levels, obviously. This is my second one actually. Like I'm not sure if you were here this before, but I actually got my ogre warrior to 51. And what it might sound like I'm stuck in alt hell again. I'm not, because I kind of just got a bit. I kind of just didn't want to play the ogre anymore. Like, it got to a point where I was almost going to get evasive discipline, and to make the character stronger, I kind of mostly needed to probably try and pay for some like MQ stuff. You know, like maybe some Fergaded armor or something. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to invest the time or the money in the ogre anymore. I'm just a bit sick of ogres. It's my favourite race, but I was just bored of it. And this guy, is a favourite character that I've created. That I played like for a long time. Like I really love the warrior, but this gnome warrior is. I love him. So I'll probably. Like push on to level 52, I guess, and then go from there. I guess I'm kind of limiting myself. I mean, I guess kind of. Yeah, I know. I just did. I just thought, oh, I've just had enough of this. It's massive, you know. It's like, well, it's a shame, and it's easy to make yourself less massive and make things a bit more convenient for yourself. But yeah, but this guy, I mean, I think gnomes might actually be my second favourite race. I love the way how the armour looks, and I just love the idea of a old bloke just beating things up and being like really tough from a role playing perspective. Hey man, how's it going? Yeah, not so bad, thank you. Just faffing around in unrest. It's still red. Okay, so I think the basement's obviously going to be. I don't know what level the basement is. Maybe I need to be like 30-ish, maybe a bit. That's assuming I can even do the basement. I think they made some changes, didn't they, that I was aware of, but they didn't particularly impact me. Like, I wonder why this guy's out of rotation. What are you doing? Recharging items and stuff. Like, so root nets became a lot less desirable, usable, and whatnot. Yeah, I've got no way of breaking anything. I probably can do. I mean, I don't have one. But I think when I get to like near 50, I could get something called a herbalist spade, which I think kind of procs a root maybe, but then you're kind of waiting for the proc. If it doesn't go off, it's like, ugh, you know. What the hell? It's a great zone. It's really atmospheric. It was actually really cool to see that Pantheon are removing chevrons. Like, that is the best idea that they could have made. In fact, actually, I did download the client. I need to install it again. So I've got a couple of accounts. It did actually prompt me to download and try it again, because it was just like, you know, whoops. Oh, shit. It's the Ghoulie gang. When I first started playing Everquest, back like during the original release, ghouls were the one mob that just always scared the crap out of me. Just because of the root, simply because of the root. Just root you in place, you're dead. It was like... yeah, I hated getting rooted. Scary stuff. These make a great band, these guys. There's a black metal band I listen to. I think they're from Poland, and they dress like the Nazgul, kind of. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool. These, I think what are they called? I think Ghost's band members are called ghouls, aren't they? I don't think they don't really dress like ghouls though, particularly. No, we've done that room. This room next. Oh, hello. There we go. Kind of got out of synchronisation somehow, the spawns slightly. Sorry, just because I'm talking at the same time. Yeah, they're a great band though. If Mordor had a band, it'd be these guys. Yeah, sorry, I was going back to the Pantheon thing. That's a really good change, and I actually feel quite tempted to play it again. So I want to get it installed. I'll probably stream that again for a bit. I actually enjoy playing that game. Again, it was just decisions made that, you know. It's such a funny thing. I mean, again, you know, I'm talking about just all of us humans in general. It's funny, ego is such a funny thing, isn't it? Like the effect it has on your brain and how you deal with situations. Oops. I like the way the warrior still has like a load of little tricks though. I think I've said this before, but I kind of like the idea of the character not having any, like a class not having any innate magic, but they've got kind of got access to magic through items and things. Obviously not as good as being a caster, but it's nice. And some of them are obviously random. I would definitely kind of look at, I think with hit points and AC, I think I'd definitely look for some dex type gear as well. Trying to think of band names for a band. I thought Ghoul and the Gang. I thought that might be pretty good. I'm not sure they'd sing soul though, particularly, or R&B or whatever it was. Is anyone else an absolute sucker for collecting pages, even though you never use them? Like, I just can't sell them or throw them away. It's like, I think it's just a bit. It's like a role-playing thing of like just finding a random scroll or you know, scrap of paper that leads to kind of great power. I wish games had more of that, like for other classes. Like I wish I could like randomly find some scraps of paper that gave me a new warrior skill or something or whatever. You know, that would be awesome. Yeah, I like the idea of them just finding scraps of paper that leads to a new spell that you can't get any other way. It's pretty good. I mean, some games, you know, I've seen a couple of MMOs that seem to think that's a new thing. I mean, Everquest did it 25 years ago, so, you know. Yeah, stuff like I mean, I think this guy's got like some ringmail armor and stuff. I mean, I know it sounds a bit thingy, but I just can't bother that kind of thing. But like things like the pages, particularly, just the thing that I really enjoy collecting and seeing what they are. I go on the wiki sometimes and just see what they're for. At one point, I did pass a load of them over to an enchanter, who's probably still got them somewhere in the bank or something. Yeah, it's really cool. I just like it from a role playing perspective, just like a vibey perspective. You know, that they drop and they lead to something. You know, it'd just be cool if the melee classes had them in some way. I guess it's probably because they never played them, because you know the current indie MMO devs don't really seem to play other indie MMOs to find out what's going on and what people are saying. But there were some really good ideas in Shroud of the Avatar, believe it or not, that other games don't. This guy's fucking hard. That other games don't seem to have incorporated some little mechanics and things that are quite interesting that no one else has gone for. I thought the taming in that was really good as well. Like it, maybe not quite as good as Ultra Online, but it was really good taming animals. And I think it was Shroud of the Avatar where to learn skills you had to go around taming animals, and you learn the skill from them, and then you could train that skill on another pet. It was really cool. I think there was a point where I tamed all of the hardest pets, but then they released that expansion, and it just fucked things up. Mostly, it increased all the skill caps to a point where you had to spend like months grinding XP just to get like one to go up a point. And it became less fun at that point. Right, so I've got this guy. I think the only slight sin that Everquest makes regards to those kind of things is that because it's completely random, and I'll include trade skills in it as well, like because some trade skills cost so much money to invest in, it's a kind of thing that you only kind of can really end up doing like later on in your career. Like there's not like there's not a fairly reasonable linear path with regards to like crafting and leveling a character. Like for most kind of crafting professions, you know, even to make reasonable stuff, you need to invest so much money in it that you can never do as a first character. Maybe the crafting's meant to be done as a second character or whatever, you know, or whatever. Like you establish yourself first. Oh, hello. This way, friends. Let's drag him into a corner here. Yeah, that was another thing they did really well. Like I liked someone who always liked the CCGs. Like I liked the deck building thing of it, much like Magic. Like it's good to build a deck and make the RNG kind of less of a thing. That's what it was all about, really. It was kind of lowering. Yeah, it's a shame that it was kind of developed by idiots who didn't really seem kind of more interested in selling I don't know, the chairs than they did I'm not sure who was responsible for a lot of the good ideas in Shroud. I kind of feel that it was a developer who left, you know, went somewhere else or did something else. Oops, auto attack switched on. I guess from EverQuest's point of view, it was the fact that it was 3D, but we've also lost so much detail from Ultra Online. You know, the things that you could do in Ultra Online. Like I can't believe that an MMO hasn't come out with. I guess apart from like Worm, like we don't have an MMO where you can't, you know, buy or make a boat and kind of sail the high seas and stuff and whatnot. So the water area of the game becomes another zone or whatever. You know, all those kind of little things those little details that were just pushed by the wayside. doing. I guess, I mean, I love classic WoW, but I guess classic WoW's got a lot to do with it. Even between Everquest and WoW, there was so much stuff stripped out mechanically. It was, I mean, classic WoW, for as great a game as it is, and obviously it's a lot more appealing to the average gamer. It's very dumbed down, isn't it, in comparison to Everquest? I think I probably need to increase my slashing skill. I haven't worked on two-handed slashing yet, which I probably need to start doing because it is my main. It will be my main weapon. Okay, we've done all this, haven't we? I'm pretty sure we're waiting on the other guys. These guys round this side now. It was funny going when they re-released Classic WoW, and obviously been playing P99 for, I don't know, 12, 13 years at that point, going back to Classic WoW and just seeing like how much mechanically was stripped out. It was crazy to feel, really. Like like Classic WoW, I felt almost just like a slash 'em up than in comparison to Everquest. I don't even know how that's doing now. I guess it's probably still doing all right. I mean, I kind of stopped playing when they started moving servers through the expansions. Like, I just wanted a server to stay on a certain expansion and just stay there forever, kind of thing, rather than getting all the expansions that made it a worse game in my opinion. 3 ghoulies again. King Gang ghoulies. I'll pull that one. Oh, the big mob is not there. We should get those two. I'm not sure if it's still there, but up until recently, there was still a Reddit for Shroud the Avatar where it was the same people who had just been complaining about the game and the developers for years, and it was still there up until quite recently, even though the game has kind of long since, I mean, they were terrible, but like some people really took it took their dislike of people like Chris and whatnot very personally. It's quite funny. Who was the other guy, the bald guy? He was a right con artist, wasn't he? I don't know what role he played on Ultima, but yeah. Thought he was one of the musketeers with a bald head. Can't remember his name. And obviously, like, the man himself is just really doesn't seem to have any interest in gaming anymore, and hasn't done for decades probably. I think it's still running, but it's long since, the last time I kind of even remotely looked at it, I think it was literally a handful of people kind of keeping it going somehow, I think they've got some people running it who are not even proper developers, and they were kind of learning on the start. That's in, yeah. Who you know didn't even really have any development skill. They were just kind of trying to keep it going and whatnot. And Chris was like the DSP of MMOs. He was such a great source of content to watch that just made you chuckle on his streams. Like when he'd get just really annoyed with people. It's quite funny. Yeah, I need to bind wound, but I think I can go and grind that somewhere where I can damage myself. So I'll do that at some point. Because bind wound was very good on my ogre. I think we're here next. Maybe. This guy for some reason got out of sync, this guy here. I don't quite know why. It's crazy how quiet the game is. I wonder if because there's less people playing, you know, it's like maybe guilds are more receptive of a more casual kind of thing player. I mean, I can't call myself casual in a sense that I can, you know, I can spend quite a lot of time playing the game, but I've noticed a couple of big guilds left. I think one's called Fuse and one's called Gravity, I think. I think the gentlemanly gent who sold me the clockwork armor was, I think he was in Fuse maybe. I can't remember. Is it just that guy that patrols along there? Yellow. I mean, I'd imagine that I can beat him with the twinkage level that I'm at, but it's because he's a ghoul. Like, I'm fine dying. Like I've like on my other warrior, like I did a lot of corpse recoveries the hard way. Like I liked role playing him where you don't run, you just stand there, and you take your beating. I've had some great fights that way with my other warrior. You know, a couple of times I got down to 1 or 2% and just killed the mob. A couple of times we've both been like 5% and I've died. You know, it's that I like that idea of just standing there and till the bitter end. I did get a port for that one where I died and I was stuck in Velius. So I actually came out of my shell and asked for a port. Because that was yeah. I didn't want to run a naked warrior from Velius to Fearrot. It was just like asking for trouble. So are we here or are we in the other room? I can't remember. No one there yet. I've probably got some bits I've kind of got like a stuff hanging around in various banks that I'm probably never going to use, but I'm one of those people that kind of just hangs on to them just in case, you know. Like I found a poison wind sensor the other day, and I thought I'll just sell that, it's not worth a huge amount, but I think it's cleric usable. I thought I'm going to keep that because at some point I kind of had an idea for a cleric who was like just some undead slaying dude who went around all the undead spots. So I thought, no, I'll keep it for that because that'll be useful. It's that kind of thing. So I think right, yeah. So he was the one that was out of he was the one that was out of sync, I think. What I like about it, you probably can't hear it, but if you've been here or any dungeon really, you get those nice little environmental sound effects add to the atmosphere. Must have been so cool to work on this game. I feel bad now. I've only just noticed again, like from when it first happened, that I got a tell from someone and I just ignored it, asking to join a casual leveling guild. I'm sorry, Engages. I mean, like, leveling guilds generally like a casual thing? Like, I don't know. I'd feel a bit bad. Like, you join a guild, and then even if the guild is just really there for you to level, and maybe you move on to another guild, then yeah, I feel a bit bad about leaving and all that sort of stuff. All that kind of like that the social anxiety stuff that you get. Oh my god. Right, so almost 23. I'll check that red weir bat again at 23, but I can't even imagine it's still going to be red probably. But we'll see. I always felt that I was just massively missing out on guilds, and I have been. But the problem is, it's just like, I mean, if peak time was now when I'm playing, it would have been great. I could have done all the raids and all the stuff, but it just didn't work out that way. Only being able to play off peak is a bit of a handicap in that regard. I know they kind of did random earthquakes at some point, didn't they? But I don't know if that's... I mean, I've been playing for quite a lot during the off-peak times over the last couple of weeks, and I've only seen one earthquake. I'm not sure if that's normal, but yeah, I'm assuming like all the raidy stuff and all the good stuff happens during peak times, obviously, you know. Obs. Oh, Tsarin's Grimoire. You can always tell a Tsarin's Grimoire page. I've said this before, but I've always got like mad respect for people who like there's a game that's kind of just their game, you know, like you go onto the P99 forums and it's kind of like the same guys like still playing and talking shit and whatnot. Yeah, it's like it's just their game. No matter what else comes out, it's just this is the game, you know. Um, and I think that's kind of how you get to. I don't know. I suppose a lot of people would see it as like time wasted now, life wasted. But I think that's kind of how you get established in a game to a point, you know, where you got like a roster of characters that are all 60, and you can do what you play, what you want, and do what you want, and that kind of stuff. There's strange phenomena with melee characters, and I've noticed it over a number of them. It's quite a weird thing. I'm not quite sure what it's linked to. I'm sure it's just my imagination running away with me. But, like, I'm trying to explain how it works. So, I was killing spectres on my ogre and kind of grinding through them on that level, no real problems and whatnot. And then I dinged, and then the fight just seemed to become harder. It was weird. It was like there were some adjustments going on, but I wasn't really sure what it was. But I kind of really noticed it with like melee characters. In that, like, I would ding and I'd be fighting the same mobs and I'd be thinking to myself, well, hang on a minute, this is harder than it was in last level. Like, what the hell is going on? Literally, like, miss. And I guess you could put it down to like RNG and stuff, but I was like, it's weird. It's kind of happened too many times to to not be a thing. Hey, Don, how you doing, mate? Hope everyone had a good Christmas and New Year, whatever it is that you do. We had my youngest son come up at Christmas, and our oldest son lives quite near us, so they came over at Christmas and whatnot. And my wife bought a brilliant board game called Blockus. It's basically various shapes that 4 players fit onto a board, and you've got to get rid of all your shapes. Really tactical and stuff. But even since then, like at Christmas. Since Christmas, like me and my wife have been playing it every evening, which is unusual because she doesn't normally like those kind of things. But yeah, it's a great game. I think there's a 2-player version. I think there's like the one we've got is like a square board. When there's 2 players, it's difficult, but we play 2 colours each, so you know you end up kind of blocking yourself off more often than not. But there's like a hexagonal board, or maybe as well, I think, that I was looking at. It's a really fun game. Simple, just like it's like Tetris, but you know. Yeah, not doing okay, mate. Yeah. I'm not sure how you're getting on with your YouTube stuff, but I kind of like, you know, before Christmas I kind of priced up an expensive Razer camera, streaming camera, and a light and all that kind of stuff. So I think to myself, let's try and just do streaming, you know, let's get a regular streams thing going on a weekly basis, even a daily basis. But I haven't done that yet. It's funny, even though it got to a point where the channel was kind of like in hibernation, really, when I'm playing games, I still think about it quite a lot. But you don't really see hardly anyone doing any P99 stuff anymore. But as I said earlier, you know, the servers are really quiet, so. I still enjoy occasionally you get a video will drop from I can't remember her name, but she just plays a Shadow Knight. You know, like obviously like best in slot and that kind of thing. But yeah, I've watched a couple of videos of her. Like there's one where she goes and tanks the where she goes and tries to solo the what they call cliff golems, and like I saw a solo Serena in Tower of Frozen Shadow, I think, all that kind of stuff. I like all those videos where people really push themselves to kind of do stuff. I can't for the life of me. What did I just kill? I've completely lost track of where I am. There's a dude in there, so I guess it'll be the next room. I've said it before. I think the issue partly with it, mate, is partly with YouTube is that I just hate is probably not a strong enough word, but I hate the whole culture surrounding the algorithm, and you know, like putting your boat race on a thumbnail, pulling a surprised expression, and all of that. Oh my God, how are you? Oh my God, I'm so excited. You know, it's just, I understand there's projection, but there's projection, and then, you know, it just got to a point where I just hated the whole culture around YouTube and stuff. And obviously it all become, excuse me if I get, you know, I don't want to annoy anyone, but it all became incredibly woke as well. Which is what, you know, I think also there was a thing where you couldn't, like what I found was that it's hard to kind of sit in the middle, and if you sit in the middle, you still get called the same names, you know. So like you'll do some videos like playing a new MMO, and you really like it and stuff. But the moment, and you got people going, "Oh great, yeah," you know, and then the moment you put a video up that's slightly critical, those same people go, "Oh boo, hiss," you know, and start calling you names and things. And it just reached a point where the only people who seemed to do well was if you were kind of hypercritical in like a, you know, like parodical way. Is parodical a word? I don't know. Or if you were hyper positive in, you know, as almost like a parody character as well. It was just, I don't want to go in there. I did get a level though. No, that guy was just doing so. Even with a fun guy, that guy was doing a shit ton of damage. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel that my channel kind of reached as far as it was going to go, unless I started conforming to the whatever the algorithm wants, or whatever, you know, children want, or whatever. I don't know. When I was pricing up the Razer camera and stuff, like I had a massive conversation with Grok. You know, I mean, let's be honest, say conversation, like AI, you're still not really having a conversation. They're looking on the internet for you, essentially. But Grok's opinion was that, because I've been thinking about starting a new channel for ages. Like I've come up with loads of catchy, like you know, RPG type names and stuff. And I thought, let's start again, fresh start, do loads of banners and stuff, get a good camera, do shorts and all that kind of stuff. And I had a chat with Croc about it, as I said, and I say he, I don't know. He said that I should stick with the channel that I've got because I've already got like a base and stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, but it's a base of viewers that, like, most of them probably don't watch anymore. A lot of them are probably only watch for certain things, and so maybe their expectation is that you start doing something different, and it's not what they want. I guess with an old channel you can still attract new people, but I did see some people do some tests, and they started a new channel and put a video up, and they put the same video up on their old channel as an experiment, and the one on the new channel did much better, and because there was a rumor going around that a new freshly created channel puts a video up, it gets pushed more. I'm not sure if that's still the case or if it ever was the case, but I did see a couple of people try that and see how it went. I think the issue also is that that the market is so saturated. Like, I think YouTube went through a thing recently where it was it was pushing new content creators or small content creators. So I kept getting like videos recommended from small creators, which is fine. You know, like, these people literally like put a video up and it got 2 views kind of thing. And it was always for the same games. Weird. It was really weird. Like, it was always these controversial woke slop games. Like, I kept getting recommended Dragon Age, Veilguard, and I kept clicking on, I'm not interested in this. It just kept recommending me them. And Outer Worlds 2, and I was like, oh, there's something fishy going on here. I guess it doesn't feel as though YouTube is a place anymore where you can just put videos up and people might watch them and like them just for what they are, and it works that way. You know, it just feels as though you've got to conform to a certain template and behave in a certain way. I honestly very rarely use YouTube for the things I used to use it for anymore. Where do we need to go? I've got no idea what's spawning next. I think must be that room. not that it matters. I'm literally the only one here. But I went on a discovery of old YouTube videos when it, you know, like people who like we're talking like 15 years ago or whatever it was, whenever. And it was just, yeah, I mean, some of them were obviously weird. Like, it was just some guy sitting at his desk and he was like, I don't know, he was swigging Jack Daniels out of a bottle and smoking a cigar and talking shit. But it was like, that's kind of what YouTube was like then. You know, that's when it was fun. Like, or videos of like chat rooms for, you know, the early Call of Duties or whatever, and everyone calling each other the M word and whatever. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's probably a bit unsavoury, but it's like, you know, it's almost like everyone's, even people who kind of call themselves like indie content creators, where they do content on indie games, they're still conforming to like a AAA narrative with regards to like creating videos and stuff. And I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong, but it just feels like unless you're conforming to a certain thing, and I hate conforming, yeah, it's a big struggle. I think that certainly happened for us. I've seen that happen for a lot of, like, unless you start off as a variety streamer. I've seen some, like, I saw some WoW players, some big WoW streamers who got fed up with WoW and wanted to go and play another game, so they went and played another game, and everyone just stopped watching. You know, it's weird how there's loads of people who are willing to watch like a variety streamer play all sorts of games, but when someone who has just played one game, you know, wants to try something else, it just completely backfires. Well, it would be a nice thing to do. I guess that's the thing. You know, maybe you should look at, maybe it's kind of looking at it as it's a nice. I mean, it's hard because like when I started doing YouTube a long time ago, that was a period where I was doing it because it was a nice thing to do. You know, but then it gets to a point where, you know, even for a small channel like mine, you know, you get people get certain expectations and they start moaning. I think that from a monetization point of view, unless you do it from day one, that becomes difficult because people get a bit kind of offended by it. You know, like when I've mentioned Patreon very rarely, a couple of times, you know, people kind of like, you know, it's like the content's always been free kind of attitude. So why should I? And they don't kind of think to themselves. Like I remember the last time I talked about it, you kind of get like an attitude of, well, yeah, if you did regular videos, and I'd probably like pay $5 a month or something. And I think to myself, hang on a minute, I've been doing regular videos for like 15 years, and yeah, but I think that was my whole idea of starting a new channel, was so that everyone coming in knew what the expectations were of the channel with regards to that kind of thing. I think at the end of the day, like it's hard. Like I'd be very surprised if there are still YouTube channels doing it just because they love doing it. I mean, it's easy to do that and start off when you're starting off, and you can still love it, but at some point, you know, I mean, I did anyway. At some point, I just thought to myself, it's a time investment, and I'm not really getting anything out of it. And so, you know, can I continue to invest time in it, essentially? And it's still red downstairs. Well, that whereabout is anyway. It's funny how we kind of got a lot more tools now as well for it, haven't we? But it's like, you know, it's I think as well. I think it's also about there are some people who are just good at it, you know, and people will kind of watch them play anything really. Like I don't really think that I fall into that category. So it's like if you go to the Everquest, like Twitch area at any particular time, you know, I would say you almost never see anyone streaming to 100 people. I think over Christmas I saw someone streaming to 100 people, but I wasn't convinced that they were an Everquest player particularly. I think there was also some tie-in with like one of the Monsters and Memories devs was playing with them or something. But yeah, it's so like playing Everquest, you're probably not going to get. I mean, even back on P99's heyday, you know, it's not like you're getting thousands of views. You know, it's pretty niche. So I think it's kind of either maybe trying to, I don't know. It's difficult again also, isn't it, when you hate the gaming industry from not just from a quality point of view, but from a cultural point of view as well, in its current form. So what do you do? Like you're left with, you end up being left with playing games that you don't really want to play and that you essentially hate, because that's what people want to see, the next new game, you know. I haven't found either that like a new MMO coming out, like just playing new MMOs as they come out, is particularly stable either. Because most of them up until now have like a lot of interest at the beginning, but that interest just quickly dies away when people get fed up with it, you know, when it turns out to not be what they were hoping it was going to be. They stop playing it, and obviously interest in it dies. And very niche, is that, mate? Yeah. I mean, even in its heyday, like it wasn't like it was getting like millions of players. Like it, you know, like I kind of think that when Green was first released, I don't know, there was like a couple of thousand people playing it at once, maybe, which is great for obviously, but yeah, it's not going to sustain like a streaming career. You know, it's not not really. Yeah, but I think like when I was kind of looking into it before Christmas, I think the upshot was probably the best option. Maybe felt to the best thing seemed to be maybe to focus on a particular genre like RPGs, so you've just got more scope to play different games. So you're kind of like a variety streamer within like a particular genre of game. Oops. There is like, I know a lot of people just say from a stream, you know, the big streamers get it a lot where people just go, oh, what are you complaining about? You're just sitting, it's just streaming, you're just sitting down and whatever. And I think there's some truth in that, but there are some people who are like, I watch, whatever you think of him from a personality point of view, like Asmongold's ability to like just talk for 12 hours straight and keep people interested it has to be a talent of in some way, you know. It's pretty mind-boggling, really. I guess if your stream is based around covering loads of political stuff that's going on, maybe it's easier to have something to say, you know. But even so, like, you know, like keeping a stream full of people interested that long, engaged that long, I think is a skill in itself. Hey mate, how you doing? Happy New Year to you. Yeah, I hope it's all going well. Yeah, it is. Also like it's like I've seen it's I kind of hang on a sec. Oh, so he's yellow, but the Weirbat's red. What's that one there? Oh, some yellows down there. Oh, okay, well we're leveling. We're leveling up, maybe. I always felt that streaming was like a two-way street. Like obviously, as a streamer, it's on you to be engaging initially, but it's really difficult when there's no one when there's hardly anything to engage with. You know, so you kind of feel like you just have to keep talking, even though you're getting nothing back. And people have come in. I've seen people come into to quiet streams and say, "Oh, this stream's not saying anything, so I'm going." You know, and maybe that's kind of fair, but at the same time, like maybe they have been talking, but there's just been no engagement. So, like, what can you do? You know, it must be difficult, particularly if it's something that you're not. Like, if you're a new streamer, you're probably you're probably not used to just sitting there talking to people. You know, so it's a tricky thing. I love some of the names of the mobs. I wonder what makes you a lurking mummy as opposed to some other sort of mummy. I think just sneaking around, like you're just lurking. Oh, I got a crit for 100 damage there. Nice. You were saying about leveling a warrior early, Liz, but if you can get a staff of battle, I think they're pretty cheap, like a few hundred plat. I mean, it's amazing ratio. Yeah, like really good radio presenters. It's like I think it's like TV presenters in a way as well. Like it's um, like I think the hardest part is actually talking and then just not pausing because you can't pause. You can't be a TV presenter and you're going through your whatever it is and then you pause or you know whatever it is. I kind of feel that there's a certain discipline involved there. Um, yeah, I think kind of like the really old school, like crazy DJs and stuff. Um, some of them just seem to play music now. You don't really get that kind of old school kind of chat that you used to get. I'm getting loads of pages, loads of Tassarin's Grimoire pages. It's a popular spot for them. Yeah, that's true. I think I'm not. Yeah, I think I know what you mean, Dom. But I do think there is probably an army of people out there around my age who still game or used to game. You know, Gen Xers or whatever. You know, that around that kind of thing. Um, who are probably looking for like a more like nuanced stream where it's not a kid yelling down the mic or whatever it may be. But it's the thing that I was kind of the thing that I was asking Grok was about building an audience. You know, how does that happen and stuff. And like, if you talk to a streamer like Asmongold, like he's been asked this question a lot, and you know, the old critical hit of 13. That's not a critical hit, is it? Now, and they used to say just stream regularly, and that's all you need to do. And it's probably fine for them because they got into it during the initial boom period. So you know, it was more viable. But I think there are so many people doing it now. I just don't think you can do that. And when you look at the responses you get, like networking and whatever it may be, I don't know what does that mean with regards to. You know, like do you email Asmongold and say please can we do a collaboration or something? You know, I just think that um, it's that whole thing that people used to talk about as well on Twitch where you click on you know you click on the cyberpunk section of Twitch when the game first come out, and there's like 1,000 people streaming the game. And so who's gonna scroll all the way down to the 1,000th person who's got no viewers and start watching them? Probably no one. And I guess you can kind of put yourself about on social media and that kind of thing. Maybe that works. I'm not sure. I think it would probably be a good idea. Like if I was going to do it, I think it would probably be a good idea to have a dedicated like Twitter or Facebook thing. I guess you kind of have to start doing the sort of things that I always hated doing, like asking people for engagement, you know, like likes, subscribes, and whatever it may be. Yeah. Is it this room next? Yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't know how you solve the problem. Twitch has never solved the problem. You know, where you click on. The other thing is always that even if you click on a game with a smaller following, where there's less people streaming, I think data showed that something crazy like 90% of people will still click on the one that's got the most viewers. You know, so it's tough. It's tough. I think to a certain extent, maybe now also, as I said before about people being there's not a lot of middle ground. It's like either you're toxically positive or toxically negative. Maybe you just need to be controversial as well. That seems to be the thing. You know, it's like yeah, maybe you just need to keep making loads of points about social issues and politics and calling people names and stuff. You know, um, from either viewpoint, maybe, I don't know. That's kind of because even like I'm not subscribed to any of them, but occasionally I'll look at the people who cover what I used to cover, like indie MMOs essentially, and see how they're doing. And they're bigger than me, but it still doesn't seem like us. But it still doesn't seem like they get. It doesn't feel based on my when I used to do YouTube and I had monetization switched on. It just you know, it doesn't seem like they're doing anywhere near enough views to be even though it's more than me, they're not doing enough views to be making a living from it. And those are the ones that are so-called like indie game creators, but they're still following the mainstream narrative of surprised faces and like, you know, kooky AI created like thumbnails and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just about playing a certain character and people. I mean, I've got no idea how many like subscribers this person's got, like, or if they've got Patreon or whatever. I don't know, but certainly the views. Even if you're getting like 5,000-10,000 views per video, that's YouTube ad revenue. I don't think that's not sustainable. So, I mean, some of them haven't been doing it for very long, so maybe they just, you know, maybe they're kind of still in their honeymoon period or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, it's yeah. I think unfortunately it does appear as though people do like to watch someone else being fairly controversial. And I understand that because sometimes I quite like to watch that. But I also think that there's probably enough people maybe around our age or our kind of like level of maturity or whatever you want to call it, who might be looking for a stream, that sort of stream that kind of fits more into with their thing. But I suppose it comes back to like, how do you reach those people? Like, what's the I suppose the answer probably is just to do it and see what happens. I suppose, you know, that's basically. Yeah, as I said, like YouTube went through this thing recently. Like to your point, last point there, YouTube went through this thing recently of recommending small creators, and it's amazing like how many small creators there are that just not no one's watching them, you know, and it's kind of you kind of think to yourself, what's motivating them? If they just started, you know, is that they just doing it because of whatever reason, you know? It's well, I think I'm kind of ringing the last. I guess with the Zem, it's not so bad, but I think I'm kind of ringing the last lot of XP from this part of the zone. So there's four mobs. One of them's unnamed. There's no rooters that I can see. There's no ghouls. Is it worth having a YOLO moment? Yeah, they're too close together. I can kill that one over there. But I think you'd have to get all four. Yes. Yeah, the other thing that I wanted to do was some other aspects of the game as well. I've never really done much crafting in Everquest. I think because it can be such a money sink. But I did buy some clockwork armor pieces from a cool dude yesterday. But I do want to try tinkering myself, yeah, because it looks like there's so many interesting things. It looks fairly easy to raise up until the 150 mark, but then there are some. But then the items that the guide recommends you to level the most efficient are like 100 plat each. You know, no, I think it was 1,000 plat each. So if you need like 20 skill gains to move on to the next one, that's like 20,000. I guess there are some people where 20k plat is not an issue. I don't even have 10k plat, so yeah. But yeah, I would like to try tinkering. Looks really interesting. I always wanted to try in jewelry making as well, enchanting or whatever. Uh, where the hell are all my mobs? I'm looking in the wrong rooms again. Right, okay. Here we go. Carrion ghoul, probably red or yellow. Yellow. Red Skellington. Yeah, the barbed bones are a bit of a fly in the ointment at the moment because they all still seem to be red. I think there's some more near the other staircase as well, so they're kind of preventing them from going up really at the moment. Playing through the warrior, I definitely think it would have made the class much more enjoyable leveling if they'd have had some just some like low level disciplines. I know there's like a resistances one, but maybe some lesser versions of like evading damage, you know. Uh, just like a slight oh shit button kind of thing. Well, let's carrion ghoul is now an even com. Okay, so carrion ghouls are well within my range now, I would say. It's just the barbed bone dudes. It's only me here. Only been me here today. There was a little druid power leveling yesterday for a little bit. There was a cleric upstairs. I think he was level 28 or something. This must be like a zone of wonders for a cleric, I would imagine. So, let's see what sort of damage these guys do. 48. I like to see what a mob's max hit is on me. Okay, 48 so far. Yeah, this is easily manageable, this one. I'll check that out later, see if it's a quest item. Hello. Oh. Now he's definitely lurking. Like he should have been called a lurking ghoul. Hang on. Not happy about that. That section of wall is a different colour. This ghoul will aggro me through the door, which is alright. I think there's only one. Okay, let's okay. Oh, okay, no. I thought that was... sometimes you need to get a different coloured wall, and it's like... I think I'm going way over my head here. Oh, a ghoul. Oh, it's a dead end. Or is it? One of my favourite spots with the enchanter was up on the roof, killing the hags. That was a great, amazing XP, like for quite a long time there. A bit like the blood gills. Oh, hey, dudes. Oh, hey. It's interesting how like playing a class that doesn't have its own shiz spells essentially, like it kind of brings you out your shell a bit as well. Like, 'cause you can't bind yourself. Not having bind has been a massive thing that I've found. Like only playing classes in the past that could bind, like not having that ability is like a really big thing. I'm like, shit, I can't bind where I want. Like, I got to ask someone. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think I've got a skill to train. Which I think is riposte, maybe. There we go. It's all ghouls now, though. I think these are either green or very low blues. It was funny because like I'm not sure if obviously I probably haven't. Maybe I've done it on a video before, but obviously not on a stream. But I'm one of those people who like YOLO ground transfers essentially, like anything. Like the amount of times that my fun guy's been ground transferred, it's like make your eyes water. But I'm just like, you know, what's the worst that can happen? I guess. But like it was obviously on my other warrior. There was the ogre, so he wasn't liked in. He's not liked in Akanon, obviously. Although I didn't think he would be absolutely hated, but he is. And like with this guy, I found a nice little transfer spot, ground transfer spot, but I couldn't get the ogre into Akanon, and I didn't want to do it outside particularly. although I have done that before. But so in the end, I kind of hung around at the Steam font, druid ring, and a little druid turned up and chucked a camouflage on me, and then I sneaked my massive ogre in to the. Still checking every mob, see if they see through invis. You know, there's that like that. Is it Zafir the Ancient just inside the entrance tunnel? And I thought, I bet he sees invis, that bloke. You know. I'd like to do some quests as well. I've done quite a lot of quests in the past, but I was looking at some quests, and it's funny how misleading they are. Because I thought to myself, I was looking on the forums, and someone, you know, you look at forums for melee classes or whatever, and someone says, yeah, so what you want to do? You want to do this, like, you know, when, get this is one of the first things you should do. And I'm thinking, right, okay, then. So one of them was, I think it's the eye patch. Is it the eye patch of plunder or something? So I looked at it, I thought, oh, that looks amazing. And I looked at the quest, and I was looking at the quest, I thought to myself, oh, this is actually, I could probably do this. And my brain skipped the bit where you have to kill the giant turtle. And like, for about a day, I thought to myself, oh, I'm going to get that done. I'm going to do that. This is when I was playing my ogre. And then I saw the bit where you have to kill Lodizal, whatever his name is. And yeah, and like apparently people sell his loot rights and all that kind of thing, and I thought, well, that's out. And yeah, I thought it was really weird that those sort of quests. It was almost like they were designing a quest, and it's a lot of quests in Everquest as well. Actually, are similar, where they're designing a quest, and it's almost like they felt to themselves, "Oh, we've kind of got to put in a roadblock now, really." Even though the item's like no drop or whatever, you know, we've got to put a roadblock in because I guess, you know, we think that we only want a certain amount of these around, despite the fact that at some point it's not going to matter because everyone's going to have one whoever wants one, you know, once the server gets old enough. And so it's like, yeah, we've got these like 6 parts of the quest that are really reasonable, and then you've just got this roadblock, and it's like, yeah, there you go, get on with that. But there's certainly some other quests that you can do. But then, I mean, that's not, you know, it's not really a criticism. It's kind of like I'm all for having to group up to do some stuff, you know. But it was just interesting that the rest of the quests just seemed pretty straightforward. Like I thought I could probably do this on my shaman or even on my warrior, you know. If I got to 52 and got evasive, I could probably kill the stuff that's required. But then you just had this one crazy bit, you know, that was in there. I suppose you get kind of like I guess it's about kind of like a content balance. So like the for example, the like the Velius armor sets, you know, like the Fergadin one, that kind of thing. Kind of, you know, pretty much requires a group, but you can still do them through like multi-questing or whatever it is. So there's kind of that option. I think that was the issue that I think I've said it before, but I think that's just the one big issue that a lot of the classically inspired MMOs have had, is that it's just a very binary way of thinking. Like Everquest just wasn't binary at all. Even some content that's meant for a group, you know, it's like you can kind of get around it using game mechanics and stuff. But it just seems as though like the classic one's just going for a very binary, like you can either do this or not. I mean, as I said before, I think Pantheon removing chevrons was like a good step forward. think the other thing as well, I guess it's probably related, is that developers also seem to shy away from stuff that, like um, like I've seen talk about giving certain or giving items like level requirements and stuff, and it just seems like a wow thing to me. You know, it's not. I don't think that's in the spirit of like a classic MMO. Uh, because the EverQuest developers had the option to change these things, but they certainly didn't anyway. Like up to Velius and a little bit beyond that. You know, it's like when they were creating Velius, they must have been aware that people were giving their level one characters like fungi tunics, you know, and whatever, and it was probably trivializing some of the content. But I kind of feel that they just saw that as a part of the game, you know. Um, but now some of these so-called classic MMOs, you know, you talk about like level, yeah, level caps for items and stuff and whatnot, and um, yeah, I am overall. I would say that I think the issue is probably rather to do with the MMO genre than myself. I think that um, like playing in an open sandboxy MMO is still my sort of favourite thing to do. Um, because like unlike single player games, even though like I've never been the most social MMO player, there's always someone there, you know. So the game is always different. Um, your experience is never the same. So like I'm here on my own at the moment, so obviously things are relatively, you know, um, as they are. But obviously, like the dungeon and the mobs itself also means that my experience today has been different to it was yesterday. I mean, I was here yesterday doing the same thing, but my experience has been a bit different just because of mob behaviours and things. But yeah, if there was like two or three other people here playing, like things would, the environment would be completely different again, like from a gameplay point of view. Um, and obviously from a social view. I mean, yesterday, like as I said, like there was a very polite power leveler came in and asked me what I was killing and stuff, and like they avoided where I was this kind of section that I'm doing, this little lap. A monk came in and he was very polite and asked what people were doing and stuff, and you know, yeah. So I think like a open world, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It would be my preference, but not. You know, it's not like a game like a, you know, it's not an absolute requirement. But yeah, just a like an EverQuest really. You know, where the actual gameplay mechanics where you're playing the game are just very open and free, and you know, open ended. Literally anything can happen. There's an element of RNG, but through your own play and skills and abilities and spells you use and stuff, you can kind of like you can increase your chance of being successful. That kind of thing. It's always good that there's an element of risk. Um, I kind of feel that these, yeah, and something that's really sandboxy. You know, like I was saying earlier on, like how WoW just felt so dumbed down to EverQuest from a like combat point of view, like all the different tools that you had to interact with mobs, and it was just like literally it was like almost like a hack and slash really. Um, and I kind of feel, as I've said this before, but I kind of feel that's also where these indie MMOs are making mistakes. You know, it's like it's almost like they're overthinking it too much, or they're scared that players might do a thing, and so they kind of go out their way to kind of make sure a player can't do that thing. But then that obviously that has a knock on effect on other aspects of the game as well. Um, yeah, I mean, I think my next MMO would be one where I kind of feel that the developers were developing with a sense of um, like not with a sense of, so we've got this class and it's got these abilities, and when it gets to level 60 or 50 or whatever it is, like these abilities are probably going to allow it to do things that you can only do in a group. And so what we're going to do is we're going to actually change those abilities or not even have them, so that that's not going to happen. Like, I don't want to play an MMO where that's the design philosophy, where everything is like over tuned to a point where just all the classes feel the same. Like I've been hearing this thing recently about is it TTK, like time to kill? I understand, like, at a basic level, maybe it's a good barometer to see how quickly people are leveling. But what does that even mean? Like, what's the what's the generic class? What is that based on? So what class is that based on? So which class is the example? Because if you try to, I'm assuming they're not trying to get all of their classes to kill at the same speed, because that would just be stupid. I mean, you know, I mean, that the game at that point, the game would be so like homogenized that it's, and every class would just almost be tuned the same. So I kind of look at those kind of like these, you know, I don't know, trendy phrases, and I think, what does it actually mean? Like, what's your time to kill based on? If you've got 15 classes, what's it based on? Is there like a target class, and then you maybe get some that are slower than that, some that are quicker, probably. So in which case, like, what does that mean anyway? You know, are you going for all the classes and making sure they take the same time roughly to kill mobs? That's the sort of development I'm just not interested in. You know, I'm just not interested in that. Like, I want development to be to a point where it's not busted, but players discover things, they work out how to do things, and the developers don't make rash decisions and say, right, stop that, we're stopping that. Obviously, you know, in Everquest, you can't just walk into you know, Temple of Ishan and solo stuff and whatever, and that's fine. You know, that obviously that's tuned that way. But I just feel, just from a normal leveling grouping experience, I just think that fun should be the key component, even if that means that maybe the balance is a bit off. You know, I've said this before as well, but I just think that, like when I think of a lot of the classic EverQuest YouTube videos that I've watched over the years of characters who play their classes really well, and stuff, and like can do stuff at 60 that wasn't probably intended. I just feel that if that was a live game now, like, these developers would go out of their way to like stop that, and I don't think that's the right way of doing it. I don't think that's in the spirit of a classic MMO. You know. Yeah, the issue is there are so many variables, though, aren't they? I mean, that like, and it's what I don't understand about time to kill is that how it's not controllable. I don't think, particularly when a server becomes more mature, you know, and people are twinking characters and that kind of thing. It almost becomes irrelevant at that point. And I think those kind of things happen quicker now than they used to. You know, I mean, I would, when a new indie MMO comes out, I would give it a year before, even less than a year probably. You know, before people are twinking out characters, and time to kill becomes meaningless. You know, it's kind of, I understand you have to have a balance to a certain extent. You don't want to go up and everyone's just one shot in a mob, but I'm not sure how you balance that between like a necromancer and a warrior, for example, or, you know, a cleric and an enchanter. It's kind of, unless of course you're going to go out of your way to not allow people to twink and that kind of thing. Which again, you know, I want no part of that game. It's not what it's claiming to be at that point. You know, it's kind of like a, maybe when people talk about classic MMOs, again, it's something that we've discussed before. Maybe they're thinking about classic WoW, and that's fine, but that's not my long-term bag. You know, I don't really want to play a classic MMO that is predominantly a classic WoW inspired game. That's not why I'm here. I'd rather just play EverQuest, to be honest. You know, it's not like it's like I said, I like classic WoW, but it just wasn't. You know, it's not a game that I want to return to and keep playing over and over again. But these things are all, you know, it's what I find weird about it is there's a lot of stuff to do with classic MMO design that is just objective. It just simply is, but people just don't want to accept that it is. You know, it's even people who claim to be classic MMO players. You know, like it's been interesting, like watching Embers Adrift and Pantheon and MMO and Monster Memory streams, and the wild claims that people make about MMOs and about classic MMOs, it's just completely untrue. You know, and then when you face them with the reality of it being untrue, they just get aggressive and rude. You know, because they're wrong, but they want it to be a certain way. It was like I think what really hit home in that point when I was watching a Pantheon stream. I think I mentioned this before. I was watching a Pantheon stream, and this streamer who claimed to be an expert classic MMO player, expert EverQuest player, was making loads of claims about EverQuest skills and abilities, and he was completely wrong. And for the first time ever, you know, like I don't normally comment in anyone's stream. I just sit there quietly and mind my own business. But I called him out on it, you know, and he was like, "Oh well, you know." And then someone came into the chat, and the streamer said, "Oh well, you know, the guy who's just coming obviously a friend of his. The guy's coming to the chat. Yeah, this guy is like he's like an expert on EverQuest. So yeah, so whatever he says is correct." And this expert, he didn't even know like what expansion certain spells came in at, or certain abilities are available. And what it turned out actually was that this streamer just didn't like EverQuest. Some of the stuff in EverQuest, just didn't like it. So he was trying to create a narrative where it wasn't included in. I think Pantheon was his game at the time, but I think the twat has recently moved on to Monster Memories, like everyone they all do. But there was just certain things that he didn't like about EverQuest, like big major things, and he just didn't want them in Pantheon. That's what it was. So we were talking about like slows and charms and complete heals and all that, lots of different skills, and he just didn't like them basically. And that's kind of what you get, you know. I've seen it a lot. I've seen it a lot in Discords. Like there are people who will make things up about classic MMOs because that's not how they wanted them to be. So they're kind of trying to make them. They're trying to kid the developers into making them how they think EverQuest should have been designed, and that's just bullshit. I mean, this guy literally knew nothing about EverQuest, and yet he was playing Pantheon claiming to be an expert. And then when his friend expert came into the stream, his friend didn't even know what period certain spells and abilities came into the game. And we're talking like basic, like Kunark and Velia stuff. You know, it was laughable, really. But in the end, that's where the conversation ended up, was that he just didn't like them, basically. I think the thing that he was complaining about was he was playing a cleric, and he was complaining that Pantheon at the time didn't have a complete heal, like EverQuest did. But he was making incorrect claims about other EverQuest abilities and stuff and whatnot, you know, and that's the sort of people you're dealing with. You're dealing with streamers who, and the thing is as well, like while this guy was streaming, you've got like people come, you've got like one of the Pantheon devs coming in, you know, and if I was a Pantheon dev, I don't give a shit. I'd be going, what the fuck are you talking about, mate? You're talking bollocks. You don't know anything about EverQuest, you know. It just really pisses me off, these people. But these are the people that the developers get in bed with, and, you know, it's just I don't know. Because it kind of reinforces their vision for their game, and we go back to what I was talking about right at the beginning of the video. You know, that you're creating an MMO that is inspired classically, or you're not. You know, and I guess it kind of comes back to what we said originally as well about the word inspired. It kind of means anything, you know, like an adaptation. It could mean anything, couldn't it? You know, and I think that's kind of how I think that's how you get away with portraying your thing that you're creating as such. Because adaptation, you know, inspiration, like what, it's so vague, really, isn't it? It's like it's weird. Yeah. No, like a lot of people mentioned the Final Fantasy MMO to me, and it's and I kind of looked at it, and then someone said to me, try the old. There's an older one. Apparently, that's really good. They said it's like Everquest, but I looked at it. It wasn't really, didn't really look like Everquest to me. But you know, yeah. Anyway, yeah, like a bit of a rant there. I think my streams always kind of end up in a rant about MMOs, but I'm just so annoyed that people are creating their personal pet projects and they don't seem to have any interest in actually maybe what the community wants. They just bung in all these ideas in, and yeah, and claiming that there's something that they're not. I just find it so frustrating. But then I suppose the one good thing is that we actually can come back and play Everquest still for that hit, I suppose. That's the other thing about streaming. Like I hate about some streamers just the fucking worst, aren't they? Like me. Fucking the amount of streamers you just claim shit about stuff and they've got no idea what they're talking about. I find it so annoying. Like I actually had to stop myself watching like Pantheon and Embers Adrift streams and stuff because as I said, like that was the first and only time I've ever typed in someone's chat because I don't like doing it. And I just find it's just better not to watch them. Because I just feel like hitting return and going, what the fuck are you talking about, you twat? So, that probably wouldn't go down very well. I think sometimes people need that though, you know, when you're it's like I go back to the point that I made about like a game developer publisher relationship like used to be really good, you know, because there was an element there that knew that you had to make the game for the audience to a certain extent. I resist the dry bone fire burst spell. I've got some procs, I guess. Yeah, like you know, like the best games I've ever played have always had a publisher, and they've always been designed for level 24. And they've always been designed for the audience. They don't make out to design it for the audience or a specific audience, and then put all this other stuff in it that's just not relative to it. I think I don't know. I think these games need someone there saying, I guess in the nicest possible way, look, you know, this idea you got is fucking shit. I'm sorry, it's just shit. And it's not what people want. It's not what they're asking for. Let's forget it. But I just think that they're, you know, far too precious for that kind of thing. Anyway, I'm going to stop the stream now because I've got things to do. Places to go, people to see, and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed today's stream. I think I think I'm free tomorrow, so I will come back and do some more hobs tomorrow. Maybe we'll go somewhere else, or maybe I'll try and go to a different floor. I think I've kind of hit the limit with the warrior though, where I think I'm probably not, because of crowd control. I just probably don't quite have the ability to break up some of the other floors and rooms and stuff, but either way, I think also it kind of helps me enjoying playing something, doesn't it? Like the class or the character. I can really enjoy playing the character. I think he's a cool dude. So yeah, so if I'm free tomorrow, I'll be around tomorrow. Maybe this afternoon I'll move to a different location. I'm not quite sure what will be my progress from here. It's like an entrance, like a dungeon entrance killer. What would be my next dungeon? I'll have to check. I think we're out Crushbone. Obviously, we're out of level range for Crushbone. Mistmore, maybe I would go there. Like if there were some groups killing it, if there was some people killing near the pond. But if there's not, I'm not sure if I could solo those. I think they're mostly warriors, those vampires, aren't they? Those dudes, dark elf dudes. I'll have to check it out on the wiki, see what's what. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, even to the moany bits. And I'll speak to you again soon.